So we have to go through, of course, the administrative stuff, our policies and procedures for the course. Is there anybody in here that has not used Blackboard? A couple of you. Okay. So to use Blackboard, you go to WITC's main webpage, and on top here you have your link where you click to get in your email and all the other stuff. Up there, there's one that says Blackboard. If you click on that, normally it'll take you to a login screen. Since I've been in it already, it might, oops. I most likely won't have to log in. So it takes me, your login, your username and password are the exact same as for your email. So your student ID number, and then your password is your first 2 letters of your first name, first 2 letters of your last name, and the last 4 digits of your social security number. So just like your email. So then you come over here to your list of classes. This is pre-algebra. There's an announcement here. Now part of this announcement, and it should have, if you've checked your email, a copy of this announcement should have been emailed to you about a week ago. Part of this announcement talks about something called My Math Lab, which we're going to have to look at in a little bit. Since this class is on 2 different sites, and sometimes it's up to 4 different sites when we have enrollment to the other locations, doing quizzes and homework back and forth is really tough. So we do all of our homework and quizzes in an online system, which I will show you after a little while. And that's described here, and then we'll come back to this code and stuff on that as well. So that's your announcements. Most of your useful information for the course is in course information. Now I should tell you this. This course does not require Blackboard. You do not have to use Blackboard. You do have to go online to do the homework and quizzes, which is a separate website. But there will be a lot of stuff in Blackboard that will be useful for you. And your grade book will be in Blackboard as well. So if you want to check your grades and see how you're doing, that is out there as well. There's a grade book in the homework and quiz site that is not complete. It won't have your tests in it. So anyway, when you go to course information, there's a link to the syllabus. We'll come back to that in a second. There will be my contact information, which we'll talk about in a second as well. There'll be my schedule here, and I'll look at that in just a second. Below this would also then be, that's where all the links to the recordings would go. There'd be a link for the YouTube video for each of the class recordings. Let's take a look at my schedule here quick first. If you need to get in touch with me, you need to find me. For those of you in Rice Lake, to track me down in the building. For those of you in New Richmond, if you need to try to call me on what times I'm available. I will warn you, I'm almost never in my office, but you can email me or something and say, hey, can you talk to me? I'm free at this time. Can you give me a call at this number? And I will call you back at that time. Anyway, here's my schedule. You can see where it says office hours here. Those are the times I will be in the building and I'll be available to answer questions. For those of you in Rice Lake, the first place to look for me is usually in this classroom. The only time I'm not in this classroom is if somebody else has a class here. And right now, as far as I know, the only time there's another class in this room is 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning. There's a class in here every day. Other than that, this room is pretty much just me. So come looking for me here first. If I'm not here, I'm usually wandering the hallways. And for those of you in Richmond, you send me an email or leave me a voicemail and let me know that you need to talk to me, and we'll figure out a time that I can call you back. Also, the network comes up, I think it comes up scheduled to come up 5 minutes early every night. So if you come in a little bit early, we can answer some questions right before class too. Okay, let's get to the syllabus. Okay, so there's my contact information. My name is Todd Hoff. All of you can just call me Todd. We're all adults, so I don't need any titles. Email address, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. I check my email at least twice a day, if not more. Technically, that's not capital letters. I don't know why it forced them capital there, but it should work either way. todd.hoff@witc.edu. If you can't get to a computer and you need to leave me a voicemail, my extension is 5361. From any of the WITC buildings, you can just dial the extension and it'll take you to my voicemail. From outside the buildings, call any of the WITC phone numbers. This happens to be the phone number for Rice Lake campus, but in New Richmond, you can just call New Richmond campus and my extension will still take you to my voicemail. And I just showed you my schedule, so if you need to find me, there it is. Time and date while you're here, so I don't need to tell you where to go. Course description. This class is designed to be kind of a survey of math, a review of operations in algebra and pre-algebra, and some basic geometry and statistics and stuff like that. So that it's basically to prepare you for whatever math class you need to take next for your programs. The topics for the course are listed down here. As I said, I'm working with numbers, your arithmetic, linear equations, algebraic expressions, algebraic numbers, and inequalities, percents, proportions. Word problems are a big part of this class. I know a lot of people cringe when I say word problems. You'll get used to them. They're not as bad as you think. It just takes practice. It's one of those things that the more you do it, the easier they get. And then, of course, some graphing and some statistics and stuff like that. So back up. Textbook. Your textbook for this class. For those of you in Race Lake, you can probably see this one, the Pre-Algebra, Blair, Toby, Slater, and Crawford. This is the one you should have. In the Richmond, I don't know if you can see that well enough. It's the big blue one. You should have either bundled in with it in a plastic wrapper or somewhere inside the front cover a code for accessing My Math Lab. It's actually a big card that has like a scratch-off thing on it. There you go. If you bought a used textbook, that code has probably been used. You can buy access online. It's a little pricey, but that's okay. If you have a new textbook, that code should be valid and it'll get you right into My Math Lab. But we do have to have access to My Math Lab for this course. Anybody that doesn't have the textbook or has the wrong textbook?
I don't have mine right
Don't
now.
have them yet? Okay. You'll need to have them by Thursday.
Yeah, I'll definitely have that by then.
And between now and Thursday, you really should have your access to My Math Lab set up. Because we'll look at that a little bit tonight. In fact, I've got computer labs reserved so we can go to a computer lab if we need to for a little while and make sure we got it down. Any other questions or issues with textbooks? Okay. Also for this class, highly recommended, and I can't stress how highly it is recommended, that you have some form of scientific calculator. Preferably one that does fractions. Now, if you have a graphing calculator, you're welcome to use it, but you certainly do not need a graphing calculator. If you don't have one, do not go out and buy one. It's not worth the money. In fact, some of them don't do fractions as well as the cheap ones do. For this, if you don't have a calculator and you need one, the one I recommend is the Texas Instruments. It's the TI-30. It's about 12 or 13 bucks. You can buy them at any Walmart, Shopko, whatever. They do everything we need, and they're probably about the simplest one to use. At least from what I've found, they're pretty simple to use. The Casios and the Sharps will do everything the same. They're just sometimes a little bit more difficult to make them do it is all. So if you don't have one, this is the one to get. Spend the extra buck and get the solar, by the way. That way you don't have to ever worry about your batteries dying on you. If you have a calculator already and you're not sure if it's good enough, come and talk to me. I'll be happy to take a look at it and let you know if it works. But pretty much any scientific calculator will work. Okay. Grades, the part that most of you I'm sure are worried about. First of all, this course, regardless of the grade scale, you must have an 80% or better. If you're taking this course, you're required to have this course to move on to your next class for most of you. To do that, you have to have an 80%. It's not just a passing grade, but it is an 80% or better. So anyway, with that said, your grade is divided into two sections. You have your tests and quizzes, and then your homework and participation. Tests and quizzes are 80% of your grade. This class is divided into 4 units, which means there are 4 unit tests. Each of those unit tests is 100 points. Quizzes, it says unannounced quizzes, but it's pretty predictable. There will be a quiz pretty much every class. Now, obviously, we don't have any homework yet, so there won't be a quiz after this class. You won't get a homework assignment tonight, so there won't be a quiz after Thursday's class. But Thursday, you will get assigned your first homework assignment. Tuesday, when you come to class, we'll discuss any questions you have on that homework. And then from there will be a quiz assigned that will be based on that same homework that was due Tuesday. That quiz will be due anytime between the end of class Tuesday and then the end of the day Wednesday night. So 11:59 p.m. Wednesday. So you have like 30 hours to complete the quiz. If for some reason you have like a work schedule or something that you can't complete a quiz in that time frame, come and talk to me and I'll make sure I adjust it for you. I'm pretty flexible on that. Homework, like I said, the first homework assignment will be assigned on Thursday. It'll be due next Tuesday at 5 p.m. The homework usually shuts off. Is it 4 or 5? I don't remember now. Anyway, it's after the start of class, the homework shuts off. You can still access the homework after that time, but the computer will tell you it's going to penalize you half of your points for doing it late. Your homework is graded for completeness, by the way, not accuracy. So as long as you have done your homework and attempted every problem. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean go to your homework and just put in an answer and buzz through it quickly, because it does tell me when I'm looking through the grade book in my math lab how long it took you to do the assignment. So if you have an assignment with 25 questions and it shows you took 4.5 minutes on it, I'll know you didn't put in the effort, okay? But the homework is basically just based on effort. The quizzes, of course, are graded for accuracy. And we'll look at the My Math Lab in just a few minutes. So that is your tests and quizzes. Homework and participation is your other 20%. Almost every class there will be a homework assignment. And again, today is the exception. The other exception would be days that we have a test, there will not be a homework assignment for that next class. There will be homework assignments that are due on test days, though. So 20% of your grade is based on those homework assignments. Class participation basically just means show up for class. In the years that I've taught this course, I've taught it for about 8 years now, 8 or 9 years now. I think only one student have I ever had that showed up for class every day and did not pass. So the ones who don't pass are the ones that just plain don't show up. And then the grade scale is the standard WITC grade scale, as you see here. But again, because of the nature of this class being a prerequisite to move on to your next math class, you must have a C or better, which means you must have at least 80%. It's actually 79.5% technically, or better to move on. Dropping the class, if for some reason you need to drop, in the first week, if you drop, you get a full refund. Hopefully none of you do that, because I'd like to see you get through it and get it over with. After that, there's a partial refund. There's a certain percentage you get up to a certain point. I don't list that because it changes all the time, and I don't want to give you the wrong information, but talk to student services if for some reason you're going to need to drop. There is a point, I think it's at 12 weeks or so, that you cannot drop the class anymore. So if something happens, you have a family emergency or some reason why you would have to leave school or drop the course, make sure you're aware of that limit. Other policies, I'm not going to read through them because I shouldn't have to. Basically, don't cheat, don't steal, don't hurt anybody, don't do anything we have to throw you out for. I think we're all adults, so you guys know what that all says. If you have any needs, whether it's a diagnosed disability, or maybe you've just been out of school for a while and you've always struggled with math, maybe you don't like taking tests, or I've had students that have said, hey, the classroom, there's too many people in the classroom. When I take a test, it's distracting for me. Anything like that, don't be afraid to let me know. I'll do whatever I can to figure out some way to help you through. I figure my first job in this class is to make it as least stressful as possible. Math shouldn't have to hurt. Credit for prior learning doesn't really apply to this class. Podcasts, I do have to note that because the class is recorded, that this is property of WITC. Any profits you make off of it, half goes to me. Just kidding. And then there are 4 units. Somehow they got listed in reverse order, but you get the point. We'll start with whole numbers and problem solving, fractions and equations, decimals and percents, and then geometry and statistics. You can see we try to mix in an easy topic with a more difficult topic for each unit. Except for the last one, we kind of nail you with geometry and statistics all at once. By then, you guys will be such pros at math, it won't matter. Any questions on the syllabus or grading policies or any of that? We're good so far? Okay. I'm going to click that off. Next thing I need to show you is MyMathLab. The website I'm typing in here is just www.mymathlab. And you don't need the www, of course. mymathlab.com. And this is actually on that card. Of the web address should be on that card on the inside of your book as well. But you'll have to go there to get logged in and set up. Once you go there, it'll look like this. Now, once you've registered, you'll just click the sign in button and it'll be fine. But the first time you go in, you're going to have to go down here, register now. You're going to click on student. First thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you if you have everything you need. You need to have an email address. I highly recommend you use your WITC email address. Every semester I have somebody who uses one of their other, like a Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, and it seems like problems arise with it. Next, you're going to need the course ID. The course ID is from Blackboard. I have it posted on Blackboard. Right here, HOFF 24935. So ID is all small letters, HOFF 24935. Let me double check just to make sure I didn't screw that up. Oops, come on. 24935, that is correct. So that is the code, that is the access code you're going to need when we get to that point. And then you're going to need some sort of an access code from your textbook. That's that big the scratch off thing on that card in your textbook. Or you're going to need to purchase with a credit card or some other form of purchase access online. So we're going to click OK, register now. This is where you would enter that access code. HOFF 24935. So now the website knows that you are trying to get into my pre-algebra class. Now, if you've used MyMathLab before for some other class and you have an account, this is where you could just sign into your account and it'll just add my class to your list of classes. Most of you, I'm guessing, or pretty much all of you, I'm guessing, have never used MyMathLab before, so you're going to have to create an account, which is over here, create. You're going to put in your email address. You're going to create a username. Oops, sorry to have it. Okay. I've played around with this too many times. I don't have any email addresses I can put in there again, but let me just make one up. Now it'll default. Are you kidding me? There. It'll default to your username being whatever email address you use. So now as you're registering, it is very important you write this stuff all down, because I also have a couple of students every semester who don't get things written down or don't write it down correctly. And it is a huge nightmare to go through the Pearson customer service because they don't really even use a phone number anymore. It's all online through web chat and stuff, and it is just a real pain to go through their customer service and get things reset if you forget a password or username. So it'll default to your username being whatever email address you use. You'll have to select your password. Then it'll ask you for your information, your name, a security question. You have to pull down to pick what security question you want to use. And then you have to accept the agreement. Now I want to help improve Pearson products. You don't have to click that if you don't want to. That just means they're going to bug you with a whole bunch of surveys throughout the semester to get your opinion on stuff. You create your account. And now here is where you have to choose whether you have the access code from the book or whether you're going to buy it. You can see here it costs $95.70 if you don't have an access code. So you have to put that on a credit card or some other version. If you have the access code, if you bought a new book, you should have an access code. So I'm going to just assume that. You can see here you have like, what is it, like 30-digit access code you got to type in there. Make sure you get it all correct. In one letter wrong, and it'll kick you out, and you got to start all over. Any questions? Once you put that access code in, then you should have access to my math lab. So I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to come back into it. Now that once you're registered for my math lab, once you get here then, and you'll just click sign in, and you'll be asked to put in your username and password. Your username, for most of you, will be your email address that you used. I changed my username to make it a little shorter. Like I said, I cannot stress enough, make sure you write down what you're going to use for it so you have it for later. So once you log in, then it'll bring you to a list of classes. For you, it's probably just going to be pre-algebra, fall 2015. It'll be the only one on your list. If you click on that, it'll take you to this page. It's telling me that. It'll take you to this page. This is what I'm looking at. This is your dashboard that has everything in it that you need. Now, it does list your assignments here. I will warn you, students have had problems in the past. If you try to click on the assignment here to do it, sometimes it doesn't load the assignment correctly, so I'll show you a better way to do it. But this does have it's a nice calendar feature showing you that on August 25th, homework 1 is due. On August 27th, homework 2 is due. Now, it's a little tricky because there is a quiz in between there, but it's not showing up here because it's not open yet. That quiz will not appear until August 25th at like 4 p.m. Then that quiz will appear and it'll be available for you to use. But if you click on homework, it'll bring up, there's all the homework assignments for the semester are there. You can do them all this weekend if you want to, if you're so inclined. Probably wouldn't recommend it because, well, that'd be a terrible weekend. And also, you don't want to work too far ahead, otherwise by the time we get to the material, you forgot about it. And also it gets confusing trying to get that far ahead. But anyway, all the homework assignments are there. And as you can see, the first one's due on the 25th, next one's due on the 27th. If you click on quizzes and tests, right now you will see only, oops, I got that quiz, I got to fix that quiz. Test 1, 2, 3, and 4 are listed out there, and the final exam is listed out there. So you can see what date the unit tests are. I've got quiz 22 is showing up. I'll have to fix that for us. Something got screwed up there. There shouldn't be any quizzes showing up. I will warn you, you do have to be careful. If you scroll down here, it lists, Chapter 1 pretest, Chapter 1 review quiz. These are not graded quizzes. These are ones that my math lab puts out there as practice. It says sample tests and quizzes. So if you want to practice on the material for Chapter 1, those are there for you to work on to practice, but they are not part of your grade. So don't confuse that with the real quizzes. Since I'm here, I'm going to change that one really quick just because it's bothering me that that's sitting there. This is not something you'd be able to see. This is my control panel so I can work on stuff. But I'm just going to take that quiz 22 out of there so it doesn't confuse anybody. Oops, there's the problem. There. Now it shouldn't be an issue. So now when we go to quizzes and tests, all you'll see is the 4 unit tests and the final test. So if you're planning ahead, it will show you the date. The first unit test will be on September 3rd. So just right around 3 weeks away. Somewhere there, a couple weeks away. So that first one does come up pretty quick, so be ready for it. And again, I'm sure you guys will have more questions once we get you all registered for it. Is there anybody that's already registered in my math lab? Show of hands. A few of you. Well, that's a good start. That's actually better than usual, so good deal. You can also check your grades out there. You can click on Gradebook and it'll show you everything. Right now, I haven't completed any of the assignments, so there's no grades sitting there for me. Okay, well, that's it for all the preliminary stuff. Does everybody have the code, the access code, the class ID number down so you have it? I said it is on Blackboard, but just in case, there it is. I am going to end the recording for the